Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the June 28th, 2016 Board of Selectmen's meeting. May I have Mr. Tropiano be clerk for the evening? May I have a motion?
Motion so made.
Seconded by Mr. Scarziotti. All those in favor that Mr. Tropiano be Secretary Pro Tem? Aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous.
Abstain.
Oh, yeah, right, okay. Could we have the roll call, please, sir?
Yes, let's see, Mr. Slavin, Mr. Scarziotti, Mr. Tropiano, Chairman Whiteside, Town Council, hello over there, and Mr. Sullivan are all present this evening.
Thank you. May I have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Roderick, please? In the interests of having somebody who needs to be someplace 3 minutes ago, I'm going to skip citizens' participation at the moment. I'm going to come back to it because the boys are going to remind me. But I am going to ask that Mr. Bickey do his secondhand reseller ambassador report, which is under Town Business 8A. Please identify.
Thomas Bickey, Junk Educational Ambassador, and I have to always say that with a smile. So I've pretty much concluded my investigations of secondhand businesses. I'll continue to remain extra vigilant if new businesses pop up or if anybody finds something, but for all intents and purposes, this is about the complete a master list as I can produce. And I'll just read the brief statement in the cover letter that has the list of the businesses. It says, I've identified and compiled a list of 45 businesses selling secondhand merchandise in Wareham. The businesses are listed in alphabetical order to facilitate future additions or deletions of businesses. In the earlier version, it was numerical and chronological, but this makes much more sense in terms of additions and deletions. You can add and subtract as you see fit. Additional nonprofit organizations, charitable organizations, and religious organizations that also sell secondhand merchandise but are not included in this summary list. And I suggest perhaps that you merge a file of those organizations with this file to have an absolute complete list. 5 businesses submitted applications for a license before I began my visits and are included in my comprehensive list. So I'm taking full credit for the 5 people that came forward before I even started. I visited a total of 52 businesses in the town. 40 businesses were briefed on the new secondhand dealer/junk bylaw and given an application packet. 6 businesses had very little secondhand merchandise for sale. In most instances, they maybe had 1 or 2 articles in an otherwise business that was completely new merchandise, and I made a judgment call and didn't give them application packets. 6 other businesses that I visited that I thought might have secondhand merchandise turned out to not have any at all. So they're not included in the list, but just for the sake of completion. Secondhand businesses or merchandise being sold in the town consists of antiques and collectibles, automobile tires, boats, books, computers and related products, jewelry, and musical instruments, radio-controlled hobby cars and boats, sporting equipment, tools and lawn and garden equipment, video games and related products, and welding equipment. I might mention that the state statutes prevent the town from collecting fees for books, stamps, and coins, but it doesn't mean you can't grant them a license. And I think in the interest of maintaining a complete record, I encourage them to submit an application for the license, and I told them that the fee would be waived because technically by state statute we can't charge them for the license. But I think it's important to maintain a complete record of all the businesses that are working in the town. Self-storage facilities which also sell and auction off the contents of unclaimed or unpaid storage lockers were not visited at the suggestion of the board, and that recommendation was made by Mr. Teitelbaum at my last presentation. With the exception of 1 business, the people I contacted were polite and courteous to me. Some businesses obviously objected to additional business regulation and fees, but were accepting of my informational visit and the packet. A number of business owners are not town residents and were unaware of the bylaw, and as such, were unreached by what I call normal lines of communication. Town meeting, Board of Selectmen meeting, newspapers, TVs, and the town website, indicating that personal on-site visits or individual correspondence may be needed to foster better communication with the business community at large. And that's not only for secondhand dealers, but I think also for all businesses that are operating in the town. And through you, maybe to the town administrator, I might suggest that the new code enforcement officer might
Pay a visit.
visit all the businesses in town, except maybe perhaps these, to get a sense of, what's going on, to, not necessarily to penalize them for anything, but to be aware of who's operating in town, who has business permits, and who has the appropriate licenses and other issues that might be appropriate for record keeping. So, respectfully, that's my report. As I said, there's about 40 businesses. I'll keep extra vigilant. I'm not going to be going out on a regular basis now. I think I've pretty much covered most of the town, but if anybody sees a business, I still have additional packets. I'm more than happy to go out, and I'll keep an eye out for an odd business here or there as they come forward. So,
Thank you, Mr.
very
Bickey.
much.
Do you have any questions, board members?
No,
No.
just keep going.
Very
Do a
good.
great
Keep-
job.
keep
Thank you,
going.
Mr. Bickey.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
give you a copy with my
Yeah,
signature on it.
one question for you, I think. As you have been doing this, there probably are what I would call tightening up things that can go with the packet, and that maybe you could make suggestions for tightening up the bylaw. If you would put your thinking cap on and do that. I know that once you start handing paperwork out and people start asking you about it, you say, oh, I don't think of that,
Sure.
Okay, thank you
More
so
than
much.
happy to take a look.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I'm going to go back to citizens' participation.
You missed announcements.
We'll do that after. We can
Do
it
that,
after.
yeah. Citizens' participation. Mrs. Slavin, you are not responsible for your husband's physical condition.
Yes, she is.
I have nothing to do with breaking his elbow.
But she did kick me
Sandy
out of
Slavin, Precinct 3. I was expecting to come after announcements, so I'm here to sort of promote two events coming up in the town. The Wareham Historical Society will have its 40th Antique and Crafts Fair on July 4th, Monday, rain or shine, from 8 to 2 on Center Park. That's the green between Gibbs and Main Street. There is a $3 admission to get into the antique fair, and that includes a tour of the Faring Tavern. Frank McElmey will be doing appraisals at the 495 Main Street of the Methodist Meeting House. We will have a lunch available if anybody wants us in the Fellowship Hall. And the next one is the Garden Club has Blossoms by the Sea, a garden tour of 6 gardens out on Great Neck. It will be July 15th and 16th from 10 to 3. Tickets are $22 in advance and can be purchased at Eden's Garden in Marion, Spinney Library, or the main library. We will also have garden tour tickets on sale at the 4th of July fair. And if you don't get a ticket in advance for 22, they're 25 the day of the tours, and they can be picked up at the main library on Friday or Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Slavin.
No,
Anybody else for citizens' participation? No. Now we will go back to announcements. Mr. Slavin? Mr. Slavin does in fact have a broken elbow. He will be having surgery on Friday. It's evident that he is not feeling well, so go easy, guys.
Drugs are good. On the July 4th, Center Park is where the main fair will be. Just to reinforce, we'll be serving food at the Fellowship Hall, which is the Congregational Church right across from the Center Park itself. during the event, there'd be hot dogs, chicken salad, etc. I'd be running the cashier part, so bring dollars, I'm not making change. Can't do it. Other announcement, I don't know if you noticed in the newspaper the last couple of days, today actually officially, South Coast Rail just got pushed back another 7 years for New Bedford Plymouth. They're talking about possibly going through Middleborough and making a loop, which could save them time and money, but that's all up in the air. Interesting, because originally it was going to be like 2023, now it's 2030. So that's going to be a delay there. The Wareham Community Associates, we have annual clam bake, lobster bake. I think it's the third Wednesday in July. I believe it's going to be $55 a person. You'll be able to get tickets from the different members, but to give you a heads up, it's coming shortly. And last but not least, July 4th is coming up close. Just ask everybody to be safe. Don't do stupid things like I just did. Bye.
Thank you. Mr. Scarsiotti.
Thank you. The third annual Blessing of the Fleet will be held on July the 2nd at 10:30 at the Onset Pier. You can sign up at onsetbotf@gmail.com or visit the Harbor Master's office to get more information. You can also reach them at 508-295-7072.
Thank you.
Okay, we just have, I just have one. Salerno's brings Vegas shows to Onset to benefit our seniors. Friday, July 1st, Salerno's welcomes back Jimmy Mays. Doors open at 6:30, dinner at 7, 8 o'clock showtime. Friday, August 5th, doors open at 6:30 again, and dinner's at 7, same thing, 8. Celebrity Impressions Show. Doesn't say anything more than that. Friday, August the 12th, also doors open at 6:30 to 7, dinner, and 8 o'clock the show. And let's see, it's Catelda, how do you say that? Does anybody know? Ireland's Happy Man. Can you say that name?
Cahal.
Cahal? Cahal. Cahal Dunn. And it sounds like these will be fun shows. Everybody should get over there. It's $30 per person, includes the summer dinner buffet and the show. There are VIP cards available for $75 for all 3 shows. So take that in because it's going to help the seniors. All right, that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. I just would echo what Mr. Slavin said and what we are all thinking. 4th of July is a weekend when people think it's a great idea to do all sorts of things that we all thought were really fun when we were 15. Don't. We have many amenities this side of the bridges. Wareham is an extremely attractive community. Be safe. We have wonderful first responders. They don't need to meet you this weekend. Thank you. We have a 7:15 hearing, so if we do it slowly, we can go from there.
We can do that.
Thank you.
All right, Atlantic,
No, Assinippie.
hold on.
Assinippie.
A hearing at 7:15 for the transfer of an existing year-round packaged goods store, all alcoholic beverage license from Assinippie Liquors, Inc., DBA Assinippie Liquors, to Rego and Sons, Inc., DBA 711, 3 Barker Road, East Wareham, Massachusetts. Can you come down, folks? I move we open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Scarsiotti.
Roll
All
call.
those in favor, say, roll call, please. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Scarsiotti?
Yes.
Tropiano?
Yes?
Whiteside, yes. The hearing is open.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Leslie St. Germain, an attorney with McDermott, Quilty and Miller, 28 State Street in Boston. With me tonight is Antonio Rego, the sole shareholder of the proposed licensee entity, as well as Ray Vizina, the current manager of record at this location, as well as the proposed manager of record at this location. As just an administrative item, I have the Notice of affidavit to abutters.
Please.
Thank you.
We're before you tonight, as the board is aware, seeking a transfer of the existing license exercised at 3 Barker Road. This is part of a larger transaction by which 7-Eleven has purchased a number of Tedeschi's locations, many of which are being franchised. This is one such agreement. Mr. Rego is a current franchisee in owning a 7-Eleven in West Wareham. It does not serve alcoholic beverages. However, he has owned that location for 16 years. And we are confident that he has demonstrated his ability to properly run an operation such as this with the, and I apologize for the size of the application. I feel your pain. I put that together and have been carrying it around all day.
We actually have another copy in the office. It's like, no way.
I completely understand. We're seeking to, again, it's essentially an administrative corporation-to-corporation transfer. There's going to be no operational change in the business. Mr. Vizina has been at this location for 33 years. He is the current manager of record as approved by this board as well as the ABCC. He's a resident of Massachusetts and a citizen of the United States. He's familiar with all the rules and regulations of this board as well as the Commonwealth and the ABCC. Essentially, we are simply seeking your approval of the change in the ultimate beneficial interest holder of this location.
Thank you.
I must admit, this is the biggest application I've ever seen.
And
It's by the pound, I think we did this
we
one.
didn't include the exhibits to the purchase and sale. So, trust me, this is the smaller version.
This is quite the application. I don't have any questions. It's okay with me. Anybody else?
I'm all right with it.
Just one question.
Mr. Slavin?
We have 7 abutters, we have 6 cards. Someone
We
did
did
respond?
not, one did not come back. We have included the white receipt for it, and also should the board want me to provide, I have a photocopied copy in my office of all the cards as they were sent out.
Thank you, should have that.
Thank you.
All right, so
Do either of you gentlemen choose to speak?
No, just try and keep the nits off the street.
motion to close the hearing.
Is a motion to close the hearing? Is there a second? Motion made by Tropiano, seconded by Slavin. May I have a roll call vote to close the hearing, please? Mr. Slavin?
Slavin, yes.
Scasiotti, yes.
Tropiano, yes.
Whiteside, yes. The hearing is closed.
Okay, I move,
Oh, just for the record, Mr. Titlebaum went through the application. It's fine.
I move we approve the transfer of an existing year-round retail packaged goods store all alcoholic beverage license from Assinippie Liquors, Inc., DBA Assinippie Liquors, to Rego, is that how you say it? Rego and Sons, Inc., DBA 7-Eleven, 3 Barker Road, East Wareham, Massachusetts.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have one question for you, sir. Can I ask this question now?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Motion's on the floor.
Yeah. Motion to grant is made by Mr. Tropiano,
Yep.
seconded by Mr. Slavin. Okay, I just have one question of you, sir. Are there any storage containers on your property? The collection bin thingies? You know, like for Red Cross or Planet Aid or?
Clothing.
None. Thank you.
Okay.
All those in favor of granting the transfer of the license, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous.
There you go.
Paperwork will be ready tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Next up,
No, that's a good idea.
we want to go back up to appointments.
Yeah, please. We will talk about now the appointments or reappointments to Community Preservation Committee. We have 3 applicants, Sandra Slavin, Brian Litchfield, and George Barrett.
Okay.
They're
All right.
One-year appointments.
I'm sorry?
They're all 1 year.
They won, yeah?
Let's see, if they all expire at the same time, we can do them all at once. Let's see. And they do. All right. I move we approve the appointment of George Barrett of 24 Highland Terrace, Wareham, Mass., Brian Litchfield of 753 Main Street, Wareham, Mass., and Sandra Slavin of 16 Oak Street, Wareham, Mass., to the Community Preservation Committee to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Scarsiotti. Why are you giving me the evil eye, crocodile?
These are people who are on other boards that automatically have to have a member for this particular organization, and normally that is done every year.
What?
Because you may be appointing someone for 3 years who may not be in that board. 3 years. Mr. Barrett's on the planning board. I'm not
These
sure.
are appointments from a board.
Yes, but they're for 1 year only.
Right.
So instead of saying 19, they should say...
Say 17.
17.
Thank you.
Would you withdraw your second, please?
Second withdrawn.
Would you withdraw your motion?
Yes, I would. Okay, so...
Now, would you make a motion, sir?
Just one question.
All right,
Yes.
Mr. Slavin, is Mr. Litchfield on a other board appointing over, or is he a regular member? Thank you. Then all three are the same.
They are, yeah, all three. Thank you.
exactly right.
It's a formality that we should
Yeah.
do.
Okay, a motion, new motion. New motion to approve George Barrett, Brian Leachfield, and Sandra Slavin to the Community Preservation Committee to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2017.
Motion made by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Scarsiotti. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstaining on all three, or just on?
Just the one.
Oh, okay. Well, you made it one motion, you'll have to abstain. Yeah,
Abstain then.
Doesn't matter.
okay. Reappointment to Community and Economic Development Authority, Kenneth Fonts.
All right. I move that we appoint Kenneth W. Fonts, 44 Old Onset Road, Onset, Mass. 02558, to a term on the Community and Economic Development Authority to expire no later than June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Slavin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous. I just want to remind people who have been appointed in the past month, please pick up your papers at the Selectmen's office, take a little trot downstairs to the town clerk's office so that you are sworn in. Got it? Thank you.
Next up would be an application for a one-day liquor license by Paul Rose. I
Mr.
believe
Roderick?
this is the VFW.
Yes. We have discovered in peeling through the paperwork that because the VFW has a license, that the one-day special licenses or the one-day event licenses must be issued to an individual. And I believe that Mr. Bowen has explained that to you, and you're comfortable with the explanation. So I apologize to make you have to do it this way, but the law is quite clear, and I remember Mr. Holmes always saying, make sure you keep the liquor separate, so I won't say it, but you know what it is. Mr. Tropiano?
All right. I move we approve one-day all alcoholic beverage license to Paul Rose, 4 Gibbs Ballpark Road, Onset, for July the 10th, 2016, between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m.
To read the pavilion, please.
To be held on the Onset Pavilion. Stipulations: no alcoholic beverage to be consumed on town property.
Thank you.
It isn't. It's on private property. Also, July the 16th, 2016, between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. to be held at the Onset VFW Pavilion. Stipulation: no alcoholic beverage on town property. July 23rd, 2016, from noon to 7 p.m. to be held at the Onset VFW Pavilion. No alcoholic beverage to be consumed on town property. Also, July the 30th, 2016, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. to be held on the onset VFW Pavilion. No alcoholic beverage to be consumed on town property.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Slavin. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous. They'll be available for you tomorrow at the Selectmen's office.
All
Or
right, thank you.
for Mr. Thank you.
I'm gonna pass these down, I'll sign them
Yep.
after, so we can keep.
And we have two one-day liquor licenses by Richard Souza.
Yep,
You're not Mr. Souza. Would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Redmond Hall.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Mr. Souza was unable this evening due to a family matter that came up, so he asked me to be his representative. I am a trustee of the Redmond Hall, so I am a member of that organization.
And your name is?
My name is Stephen Curry.
Thank you. Again, the same situation because you have a year-round license. The special license to be held out in the Grove needs to be issued to an individual, and I believe that Mr. Bowen also explained that.
Yes,
to you.
Mr. Souza had met with that meeting with Mr. Bowen, and by circumstance, I met with Mr. Bowen on a following day, and he explained those terms to me as well, so we are aware and understanding of the new procedures.
Thank you very much.
I move we approve the one-day all alcoholic beverage licenses to Richard J. Souza. One for Saturday, August the 7th, 2016, from noon to 5:30, to be held at the Redmond Hall, Grove, 758 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. The other one, Saturday, August the 20th, 2016, from 1 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., to be held at the Redmond Hall, Grove, 758 Main Street, Wareham, Mass.
Is there a second? Motion made by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Slavin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous. They can pick them up tomorrow. in
Thank you, Madam
office.
Chairman.
Thank you very much. I'm going to skip ahead and ask for an authorization to sign the bill for Mr. Bowen. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and made by Slavin, seconded by Scarsiotti, to pay the bill from the office of Richard Bowen, time frame 5/21 through 6/20 of 16, in the amount of $15,000. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. And, I'm going to skip around again. Last week, Mr. Sullivan announced that Michael J. Carlozzi would be the new director of the Wareham Free Library. We have a period of time to speak on the issue. I'd accept a motion.
Comment before, I took some time and went through the resume, et cetera, and I believe the gentleman is extremely qualified. Hopefully the town of Wareham does.
I don't think anybody can hear you, sir.
I took my time going through the resume, looked it over carefully. I believe the gentleman's qualifications are really strong, and I hope the town of Wareham is nice to him.
Okay, I move that we ratify and approve the appointment of Michael J. Carlozzi
Carlozzi.
as director of the Wareham Free Library.
Second.
Motion made by Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Scarsiotti. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. We have a 7:30 hearing. I'm sorry?
We do.
We do.
All
Okay.
right,
Wait one second and pass some papers around, please.
all right. Pretty close.
Okay. Just, we're so far.
Hearing approximately 7:30 over there in Atlanta.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, this is a hearing at 7:30 on the application of Atlantic Coast Wholesale, Inc., 3065 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, Mass., for a Class II license. Can you come down, sir?
It is a
Yes.
hearing, so I would ask for a motion.
I move that we open the hearing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Scarsiotti to open the hearing on the application from Atlantic Coast Wholesale. All those in favor? Did I say that?
No, it's a roll call.
Roll call, yep.
Mr. Slavin, yes.
Scarsiotti, yes?
Mr. Tropiano, yes.
Whiteside, yes.
Okay.
Would you identify yourself for the record, sir?
My name's Dennis Hogan, and
Could you bring the mic a little bit closer to yourself, sir?
my name's Dennis Hogan, and my company name is Atlantic Coast Wholesale Inc.
Can you explain the operation to us, sir?
What I do is basically all wholesale. I don't do any retail. At this moment, I use strictly the auctions. And I can sell a lot of cars without using the auctions. This all transpired, I was driving up and down Cranberry Highway, and I saw at 2510 Cranberry Highway, a used car operation, and it went out of business or whatever, so I questioned, and I found out that, you know, there were no dealer plates available and this type of, the day of dealer plates are gonna go away anyway, so I'm not looking for dealer plates. I'm not looking for anything other than a Class 2 license to be able to sell cars at the auction and sell cars to dealers. Strictly dealers, no retail. No inventory anywhere but either at my cleanup shops, which I have 3 I use. I have 3 auctions I use. I have mechanics, and I have body shops that I use. But what happens is, what I do is it's like the pencils and the pens you hold, and you buy them from somebody. They sell packages of them wholesale. I want to sell everything wholesale, but you have to make them right. If it's got a dent, you got to fix it. If it's got a mechanical problem, you got to fix it. If it's, you name it, the guys don't want a car that they can't sell right away. So what I've been doing I used to own Sunrise Isuzu in Hyannis. Since that time, I've been doing that, remaking the cars, making them right, bringing them to the auction. Now what I'd like to do is be able to go, you've probably heard of it, carsforsale.com. It's an internet thing. So everybody that I know has their pictures of the cars that they're gonna sell and their customers call. I can do the same thing wholesale on that particular menu, and there's others. OVE, the auctions have what they call OVE, which is online sales. But you need a license to do it. I'd like to downsize my life, just do that. And I think I could make more money doing that than running all over the world with the fees at auctions.
Questions? Mr. Slavin?
You're a Florida-based corporation, sir?
Yes,
I have questions, Mr. Bowen. He's a Florida-based corporation, doesn't have filing in the town with a business license, even though he has a presence here, but he doesn't have any physical tangible inventory, but he's still operating in the state of Massachusetts.
We don't allow.
And if you're going to give him a Class 2 license, that's an entity of some kind.
in 2000, and just so you know, in 2008 or 7, I had a license in Kingston, Mass,
I understand, but
under Atlantic Coast
I'm just
Wholesaling.
looking at what we have here, sir. I used to be in the business, so I understand it pretty well.
Okay.
With your permission, Madam Chairman, I'd certainly recommend that the gentleman get a business certificate from the town clerk, but also he's going to have to register with the Secretary of State as a foreign corporation doing business in the Commonwealth.
I already am.
I assume that certificate's with the application.
No, I didn't realize I had to get it, but I can get it.
With your permission, Madam Chairman, do you have the $25,000 bond required by statute?
I will get it. There was no sense in doing that unless you approved the application. I would, there's no problem getting it.
Okay.
That discussion actually was held, and I suggested to the gentleman that as long as he that if we were to make a motion, it would be subject to, and he said that would be no.
Issuance contingent.
Yes, yes, sir.
Well, you're ahead of me, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
And then with one other question, maybe, a contract of repair with a garage. I assume you don't have a garage at your house?
I don't, I have sublet, I don't do any retail. So all I do is repair vehicles to take to an auction, to wholesale to another used car dealer. I
Okay.
don't have any, I don't want to retail cars.
All right, I think I can,
Mr.
I think I can,
Mr. Tropiano?
yeah, I think I can kind of clear this up right away. It's been the policy of this board for as long as I can remember, back in 2000, that we don't give out, that's called a pocket license, basically. We don't do pocket licenses. Our licenses here in town are for people to be able to be serviced. Without a location, you can't service the people of the town, and therefore the license is not, it's not a good thing to do. And we call those pocket licenses. We've never allowed one, ever. Okay? You always have to have a location, number of cars on your lot, the whole 9 yards, the repair, the whole thing. This is something we've never done, ever.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
2510 Cranberry Highway, it's an office building. There was a gentleman in that building for years selling cars.
Not with a license from this town.
Yes, he had a license from this town because I came in here and I went to the Janet and I said, that license is available? She said, no, he's moving it down the street to another location. And he had an office in the building at 2510 and he was there for years. He had a tow company that he was using his dealer plate with. His repair plate.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. We're only here to discuss yours.
I understand.
I can
If
tell
I,
you-
if I go to that location, would you issue the license where it's already?
Issue pocket licenses. I will vote against this because we don't do this. You'll have to talk to the other board members. I don't know
Mr.
why
S-
my mic's not working.
Mr. Slavin, do you have any other comments or questions?
No, I understand what he's doing. There's a lot of people that work on the internet and stuff, but again, they normally don't have a Class 2 license, and they don't go to the auctions and buy and stuff. They have other arrangements. This is a little bit of a hybrid for me.
Thank you. Mr. Scarsiotti?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move we close the hearing.
Second.
A motion to close the hearing made by Tropiano, seconded by Scarsiotti. May I have a roll call vote, please? Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Yes, Scarsiotti.
Tropiano, yes.
Whiteside, yes. The hearing is closed.
I move we deny the application of Dennis Hogan, DBA Atlantic Coast Wholesale, Inc. for a Class 2 license.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Tropiano and seconded by Mr. Slavin. Are there any further questions? To deny. All those in favor of denying the application, say aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous. Denied.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, sir.
I see any other business. Do you see anything else?
No.
So any other 24, 48 hours?
No.
Any 48-hour business?
No.
Okay, moving over to the T.
What?
You got El Mariachi
E.
Restaurant, outside seating.
That has been stricken.
That's been stricken,
Oh,
yeah.
has it?
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Sorry, I probably should have told you.
And
We-
8C has been stricken.
We've taken off 8C and 7C.
Okay.
All right, town administrator's report, right?
Please.
Thank you. The El Mariachi, we're waiting on the application. Just to give a quick background on that, the board's seen it, or I was sent out an email. They literally did a test of some tables outside, working with Mr. Moore to see if it was something that was attractive. The first thing we said, if there is an ounce of liquor that leaves through that door, whether in a cup or on a person's shirt, they could potentially lose their license. So we want to make sure that they were certain about that. And it seems to be something that they're interested in, so hopefully once we get the application, we'll bring it back in front of the board. I know we'll have a little bit of hiatus because we're on the summer schedule, so we'll ask that they bring that forward again. Just so everybody knows, that also part of that would be we would temporarily remove the bench that's in front of the organization, the business, and that shouldn't be a big issue whatsoever. The other item, as you did see tonight, we have made an offer to one of the applicants for the Director of Inspectional Services, and out of courtesy, we're waiting to hear back from them and let them, if they will take the position, inform the entity that they're working for. So those are the major issues going on, and thank you very much. Oh, the Brexit vote has hit home. They have revised the potential deficit in revenue of close to $1 billion for the state of Massachusetts. So that's we've all received that. So interesting.
Another nice information.
Liaison reports.
Liaison reports, Mr. Slavin? He's obviously been liaising with St. Anne's Hospital.
Not till Friday. I'd stay away from the area for that day. The American Legion, with CPA funding, rebuilt the outside of their building. They had a dedication this past Saturday. Thank you. We had a little glitch in the invitations. I made note to people there that I didn't see the selectmen on the list originally. I was there, as were a bunch of other people, including our Congressman Keating, Mrs. Gifford, a House Representative, Senator Pacheco, a Senator Representative. Did get a chance to speak to all three of them about certain issues we have pending. I'm not sure where we'll go with it all, but at least we make noise and try to have things happen there. Serpent Commission meeting, the annual we had a week and a half ago. We had our first meeting with the new commissioners this past Wednesday. Everything is in place. Everything seems to be still locked in, but we're all a little nervous because of the shortfalls that the state is basically listing out there. It may affect funding for almost every organization in the state. The GATRA annual meeting was this past Friday. Mr. Gay was basically able to put $81,000 approved in a fund for the Wareham to New Bedford bus line. I don't know how they're going to do it yet. I still haven't figured out what they're going to do. But they now have funding from 41.9 to 81,000. So that should be happening sometime in the next month or two, hopefully. What wasn't mentioned earlier, we should have mentioned the Cat Jones does the Summer Concerts of Love every Wednesday. It's up and running now. They're actually able to, an emergency, fix the bandstand a little bit, which is great for the town and everybody else. Eastern Bank has their concerts during the summer. Take a look out in front of the bank, gives you a list. A unique event for coming into Wareham, doesn't happen very often. Automotive magazine called Street Rodder, that's a major magazine in the custom street rod business, is running their tours. They run about 7 of them all year long, all over the country. July 9th, they'll be coming to Wareham to start a tour, which will be at Factory 5 over in West Wareham by the mall. They'll be in the area on the 9th and 10th. They actually have a factory tour at Factory 5 on the 11th. And then they'll be heading off from there to Loudon, New Hampshire, to the racetrack. From there, they'll go out to Saratoga to the Car Museum, and then to Syracuse for what they call the Syracuse Nationals, which has about 7,500 cars participating. I don't know how many people on the Street Rodder Tour will be here, but there could be 300 or 400 cars anyways, all leaving to go in that direction. Unless they ground me completely, I'll be going. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Scarsiotti?
All set.
Mr. Tropiano?
All right, so I need to apologize a little bit. I was supposed to go to the opioid meeting this month, and I missed it.
None of us made it.
And the reason why I missed it was I had an emergency at work, and I couldn't leave. They wouldn't let me, even under the circumstances. And if you know what I do for a living, it was pretty messy. So I was in an emergency situation and couldn't leave. And in fact, I missed this meeting as well. And I'd like to apologize for not going to either of those things, but I'll make sure I get to the next one. And that's what I've got to say.
Thank you. just want to remind everybody that we are not meeting until July 12th. July 12th. So, if there are issues that come up, I can cope with them, but prior planning prevents poor performance. Remember that.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining.
Thank you.
Good evening, and have a happy 4th.
See you on.